Thank you very much. Apologize for the delay. We need a motion to approve the minutes at the regular Board of Education meeting of 10/14/25. Kathy, Steve, all those in favor? That's everyone. Okay, Dr. Farrelly.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging all of our student athletes who are wrapping up the fall season. It takes a great deal of grit, discipline, and resilience to balance school, home, and athletics. We certainly are incredibly proud of their hard work and their commitment. Congratulations as well to the cast and crew of the senior high school's fall drama production of Walter's Wish. The performance this past weekend was outstanding. It was wonderful to see so many families, staff, and community members in attendance supporting our students. I'd like to just take a quick moment to update everyone. The board is aware of this, right, regarding a recent and unexpected communication from the Suffolk County Board of Elections. Earlier this month, about 2 weeks ago, district clerks were notified that the Suffolk County Board of Elections is in the process of replacing their inventory as it relates to their voting machines, and they will no longer be providing machines or support, right, for local use. Specifically for us, that means for school district budgets and elections. In response to this, the board is aware. I immediately reached out to the Board of Elections, also reached out to our elected officials. Bob Vecchio, right, from Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association, along with Suffolk Superintendents Organizations, sent joint letters to the Board of Elections seeking clarification, exploring workable, affordable paths forward, even asking to maybe consider a one-year delay, right, to allow districts time to plan and budget accordingly. I don't have an update on any change as of right now, so we're technically on hold. Interestingly enough, our elected officials noted that they were unaware of this change until they received the outreach from school districts, indicating their concern. So it apparently also caught them off guard. So again, various different groups are working together to see if there could be any change. I'll keep the board and our community updated as it relates to that. In the meantime, I did request the complimentary voting machines, right, that are being offered by Suffolk County Board of Education, Board of Elections. In our case, right, we normally have 2 machines here and 2 at Sanapog. We don't know the conditions of the machines that we'll be getting, right? They're being offered at no cost. So I made the request, and then we'll take it from there. And again, I'll provide more updates as information becomes available. So that concludes my report for this section of the agenda, Mr. Pallillo.
Just in reference to getting those machines, the cost of maintenance and repairs on those machines also falls on the district.
Right, everything associated with that, right? So
Right.
specifically, it's being revised or reconsidered, but I did request a quote, right, from the new company, the company that we would be required to use their supports because it's their machines, and what typically costs us about $2,500, $2,700 or so. It's looking like it would be about $14,500 or so. So from a county perspective, in terms of other superintendents, we've collectively indicated we're not signing anything yet, right? There are various different groups and organizations that are working through a couple of different things. At the bare minimum, there are some things that are listed in the quote that could be done as a shared service within our region and shouldn't be that much, right? So we're on hold right now as it relates to that, but that's correct. No services of it, no, the evening of there's an issue with it, right? That type of support that was naturally built in from the Board of Elections would not be the case.
If we had to modify our election procedure, meaning where people vote, or do that in just one area, is that something that requires, is that like a modification of anything with notice? As far as policy,
we can definitely look into that because
voting districts, you mean?
yeah, we usually have that north of Sunrise, south of Sunrise. If it's a situation where we get an odd number of machines, or we had to consolidate to one location, I know that. We're talking 1,000 or so, or however many votes we get, but is that something you can't do the same year? I know I'm throwing that at you.
Yeah, you have the ability to define your voting districts, but I would have to look into the timing of when that would have to get done prior to.
Right, okay, I just was curious, because you don't know what machines we're getting, and if they get here and they don't work, and, okay. All right.
I mean, I remember for COVID, right, we shifted everything to the high school. I mean, again, those were extenuating other circumstances, but we'll take a look at the timeline then associated with that, because that's a great point, right? We don't have as many voters, right? So it
Right.
is conceivable to maybe go to one location, right, if necessary.
Yeah,
under
if we're just
these-
getting an odd, because, and we also, I think, we increased the voting time, didn't we, start earlier?
We did.
So we
By an
draw that out
additional
through
hour.
the whole day, so I don't know, just something to think of in
Something
case
to-
we get
yeah.
only 2 good machines, or if,
No, it's a
hopefully they
great
just
point. It's a great
realize
point,
the error of
yes.
their ways and it gets called off, and
Yep.
we'll fight that later on.
We'll take a look at that definitely, and then we'll get back to the board on that.
All right. All right. Grace? It's got to boot up a
It'll
little bit
take a
there.
little
It's
few
okay.
seconds to
It
warm
just
up.
takes like 10 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, my report is on Sanapog Elementary. I visited Sanapog on Monday, October 27th, and was warmly welcomed by the 5th grade Student Council. The Student Council is making foam fingers to promote a drug-free lifestyle in support of Red Ribbon Week. They lined the hallways as the school day began, waving their foam fingers with big smiles on their faces. And while they were working on decorating their foam fingers, I got the chance to speak with some of the students who were very enthusiastic about Red Ribbon Week. Especially, I got a lot of comments very excited about Halloween on Friday. While chatting with some of them, I learned that half of the 5th grade class at Sanapog had attended different elementary schools prior to this year. I asked some of the kids that were originally from different schools how their year has been so far with this adjustment. Many students have been able to adjust to their new schools, but it has also been a clear struggle for others. The most common thing I heard from the kids was that the adjustment would have been nearly impossible without the amazing help of the teachers. They feel the support and the help of their teachers both at their old schools and at their new schools. It's our hope as a student body that the district continues to support these students affected by the elementary school consolidation this school year. And I have some pictures of them with their foam fingers that I'll pass around.
Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you. Awesome.
Could you, at some point, find out this whole, like, 6-7 phenomenon? Where that, I mean, in your investigation, am I allowed to request something in a report? Because I just don't understand it.
It's nonstop. I teach dance, and if you've ever heard a dance class, you
Yeah.
constantly say 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's nonstop. I hear it
Right,
all
right.
day.
I know, I remember, like, the joke 7, 8, 9, like,
Yes.
what, you know, but
I don't even know what it means,
All
to
right,
be honest.
and they won't, and nobody tells you, right?
No, I've asked multiple,
It's like a big secret.
on multiple occasions. I have no idea what it means.
Right. Okay, if you can get to that somehow. I don't know. All right. Yeah, it's just drives me nuts. Where are we at?
All right,
Okay, yep.
so
Dr.
at
Farrelly.
this point, I would like to invite Mr. Germano. And up on the mic, look at that, who is going to introduce some very special guests that we have here tonight to present to our board and community.
Thank you, Dr. Farrelly, and thank you for having me here tonight. Very proud to bring the Tucker students and some Tucker staff members here. They've been working really, really hard. We're going to talk tonight about the 5 components of physical fitness, and our students have really worked tremendously hard this year to understand how incorporating exercise and more activity in their lives will improve their overall health now and also throughout the rest of their lives. So when I call their names, they can come up and join me up here. This way they'll be close to the microphone when they start presenting, save a little bit of time. We have Mia Grace Polanco. Come up here. Ariana Mesker. important, and Mia is going to lead us off.
So we have the mic right here, so just press the button so we can, there we go.
It is well known that being physically active is important for good health. The muscle's ability to move a joint through a full range of motion. Daily stretching improves flexibility, athletic performance, and enhances daily life.
And now it's Philip's turn. Just read that line right there.
It's important to anyone get our daily steps in.
Ariana, come on up.
Dividing fitness into 5 categories can help you better design your weekly training program.
Christian, your turn.
Okay. Exercise helps improve mood, sleep, blood pressure, strength, flexibility, and lung capacity.
Allison, you're up. Oh.
Exercise protects against chronic diseases, heart diseases, strokes, and diabetes.
Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Exercise helps support healthy aging and increases a person's number of active years.
Now we have Mia, who's going to talk a little bit more about flexibility. So Mia, I think you might have read that already. That's okay. Are you ready, Coach?
Yes, let's go.
So Mia's going to jump right to the demonstration
Yeah,
portion.
all
And
right.
any board member who would like to come and learn how to become more flexible is more than welcome to come join us up here.
Any takers?
I see all that.
I'll take
enthusiasm.
it.
All right, so
Dr. Neville, no?
do over here, we're gonna do the sit knees. Legs straight out, right? And we're gonna hold for 10 seconds. We're gonna stretch our hamstring. This is one of the things that we do our physical fitness test. All right, try to elongate, try to stretch our hamstrings out. Something very important that definitely a lot of us don't do, all right? We try to preach that to our younger guys because as, you know, we get older, we definitely, get a little bit more, we good? Yeah, and then we have another one over here, Mia, if you wanna just stand up and just like kind of go after me, just like a toe touch for some people that don't wanna get on the floor. All right, reaching down, maybe hold that for 10 seconds, come back up, all right, and then relax, all right? And you see stretching is something that you don't really see as often. You see these a lot of these stretch zone places coming out because people just don't do it, but as you creep up older, it's very, very important, all right? Thanks, Mia, great job.
Good job, Mia.
And now Philip and Emmanuel are going to talk about muscular endurance.
All right.
And yeah, right up there. You can look right up on the screen. Emmanuel, you going first. Go ahead. Emmanuel, right here. Come here. Right in here. You got it, bud.
The ability of the muscles to repeat a movement many times without stopping to rest.
Bike riding, running, swimming, push-ups, and squats are important to muscular endurance.
Good job, Philip. All right, Coach, you ready?
Come over and demonstrate an exercise, please. All right, so Emmanuel's gonna show us some lunges, right? You're gonna show us some lunges, reaching out, good. Coming back to the base, coming back out again. Excellent. All right, keep on doing that. So endurance, we wanna keep going as long as we can, all right? I'm throwing these words out, these big words, you know, tip of the iceberg a little bit, but they're hearing the vocabulary, which is important. All right, good job. How are we feeling? So something we're gonna go until the end, right? Until it's hard. Good job, bud. And now Philip, you're gonna show us some squats, right? Holding our arms, coming down in that seated position, up, down, good, up, down, right? And again, until failure, until we can not do anymore. All right? Good job, bud. Excellent.
And now Ariana is going to talk to us about cardiovascular endurance.
The ability of the heart and lungs to supply oxygen to the muscles during long periods of physical activities. Cardiovascular endurance can improve heart health and reduce the risk of chronic diseases.
All right, wanna come on, show jump rope, just like we did before. All right. Yeah, yeah, so we come up as well too. Yeah, in front. So why don't you move over a little so Ariana's gonna do a jump rope just to get endurance, right? As long as we can go. This is with our heart and lungs, cardiovascular, working with both our heart and lungs, and you'll feel that breathing, and you're gonna run in place, right? Just jog in place. Once you guys are ready to start, you can show that arms up whenever you're ready. Good, jog in place, and just keep going, and then if you just fail or just miss, you just keep going again, and excellent. And the more times you go, the better you'll get at it. All right, the breathing and the lungs working together. All right, something like the talk test, when you know you're breathing a little bit heavier. All right, that's something you want to do. Excellent job.
Okay, and now Christian's going to talk to us about muscular strength.
Okay. The ability of the muscle or muscles to push or pull with its total force. Regular strength training improves muscular strength, physical health, mental health, and improves overall quality of life.
All right. So now Christian's going to demonstrate the vertical jump rocket blaster activity.
Yeah,
And I was told it's very safe.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not igniting anything, so it'll be all right. All right,
Low
so,
ceilings.
Yep. So this is kind of like as much as you can go, as strong as you can from one repetition. So a lot of these you'll see like in like combines or like NFL, you see like a box jump when you come back and go up as high as you can. You want to show that one rep. So you're gonna come back, right? Slow and go. Good. Back, right? Slow and go. Good. So you want to go as high as you can for one rep. Sometimes maybe a push up, like a big push up is good with that. All right, great job. So it's the first step.
One second. I apologize. Where's the car? Oh, there it is. Okay. And now Allison is going to talk to us about body composition.
The relationship between fat-free mass and fat mass, usually referred to as percentage of body fat. Reducing body fat is also essential for good health. A healthy body composition will improve energy levels and overall well-being.
These words are big words, but they're pronouncing them out, they're sounding them out, and they're knowing what that means. So they're incorporating the physical with the mental and everything, and taking that on to the junior high school. Hopefully they can, have a nice smooth transition over. So great job.
Mrs. Cipoletti, their fifth grade teacher, who's sitting back there. She worked very hard with the students, getting them ready as well. They are committed to incorporating exercise into their daily lives. They're making an effort to reduce the amount of inactive time they have, reducing screen time and sitting around and staring at tablets and phones. That has a time and place, but they are working hard toward becoming more active, and they've set a 10,000 step daily goal. So already today, Emmanuel, how many steps do you have?
I have 5,567.
Okay.
Nice.
How many did you have though today before you left, Christian? Okay. Allison?
5,220.
Wow. How many? Okay. Ariana?
9,014.
Philip?
It's almost jumping jacks.
1,000? That is fantastic.
Nice.
Allison, come on up here 1 second. So, they would also like to afford you that same activity to monitor your steps. So Allison's going to pass out a step chart for you so that you can keep track. Go ahead, Allison. You can give a step chart to everybody here. And then we are going to have Philip. Come on up here, Philip. Philip is going to give everybody a pedometer so that for the next 2 weeks you can track your fitness, and then we can collect those 2 weeks from now.
All right, we're going to report at the next board meeting.
And Dr. Farrell, just in case
We're reporting.
you hear an excuse from anybody that they ran out of battery, I'm going to give you some
I
extra
got the
batteries
backup
here.
battery for
Okay.
you. No excuses.
No excuses at all.
No excuses.
Thank you.
Come on in.
All
When
right.
it comes to your class,
10,000 a day.
On it.
Do all the kids have this in the school, or?
We have enough for about a grade level.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. How do you?
Emmanuel, Christian, Ariana, come on up.
Oh, it's not even a
Crack it open. How did you open it?
Oh, you can open it.
Yeah, you can open it. It has a little screen on it.
Hey, Mr. Payne and Mr. Hanley, competition is on, okay?
So now,
Steps.
under Ms. Cipoletti's direction, they also brainstorm ways that they're going to stay more active, and that's the final part of our presentation.
Okay.
Ariana's going to open up, and all right, let me take the sheet. This is the class brainstormed together. The second half of the class, who isn't here tonight as well, and they brainstormed all the ways they're going to stay healthy. So go ahead, Ariana.
We are learning how important it is to exercise. Exercise helps us stay healthy. Here are some things we will do to reach our goal of 10,000 daily steps. Instead of playing video games and sitting on the couch, we will
Hey, Emmanuel's going to take over.
Take our pets for a walk, exercise like jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, and lunges, run in place or go for a jog, play a sport like lacrosse, flag football, basketball, soccer, or baseball, go for bike rides, play tag, go to the park and play, have a dance party.
Sing a song, Christian.
We hope these give you some advice of how to reach your daily goal of 10,000 steps. Together, we can stay active and healthy.
Awesome. I would love to have all of you up here for a picture, please. Okay, can I have Mia up here, please? Mia Grace? Well done. Notice how I have mine on already, because I'm competing over here. Head start. Head start. Mariana? Katie.
I just said he gets like 20,000 and I get like 5.
Give mine.
Allison? Well done, Allison. My daughter loves Stitch. She's gonna be Stitch for Halloween. Philip? Well done, Philip. No? Christian? Well done. Emmanuel? Well done. All right, so I'm gonna have all of you guys turn this way, right, to your families, and we're gonna take a nice picture. Oh, look at that, they're ready with their cameras. Do them first. All right, I'm gonna jump in. Yes, I am, Mr. Avola. I think those are. Big round of Teaching us the importance of wellness and physical activity. Thank you, and I will absolutely, I'll go back and report in 2 weeks how this group does.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks again for having us, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Barry. Thank you.
Well done.
Maybe we could get Phil to do his runs with like nine of these hanging off of him.
We'll walk the same exact.
What? Hanley, really? Come on.
I'll check my phone.
I got mine at 279. I'm good.
Stop it.
280.
Reset it. I showed it as proof to Chris that I reset mine.
at zero. I would do.
Stop it.
Is that a health? I lose.
Bill's at almost 18 right now.
It's got to be Steve. He would win.
Oh, well, challenge accepted. All right. I know.
All right, we'll just go through it. Yeah. Okay. Statement of residents on agenda items only. Residents wishing to share a statement. Residents must come to the podium, state their name, their address, any organization they represent. They should also write this information on an index card if they want and give it to the assistant superintendent. Comments about individual students or employees are not permitted. Each resident will have up to 3 minutes to speak, with a total of 15 minutes allotted. Responses will be given after all statements. Questions needing further research will be addressed at the next meeting. Okay, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Kirsten, John, all those in favor? Okay. Policy review. We need a motion to waive a first-time reading and adopt policy 7100 as revised. Anthony, John, all those in favor? Motion to waive the first-time reading and adopt policy 7335 as revised. Patty, Steve, all those in favor? Motion to retire policy 7515. Steve and Patty, all those in favor? Okay. That's everyone? Motion to retire policy 7365. Anthony, Frank, all those in favor? Okay. Need a motion to retire policy 7365-E, construction safety exhibit. Patty, Kathy, all those in favor? Okay, motion passes. Old business? None. New business?
Yes, so we have Dr. Neville, who serves as our board rep on SQRC. So she will provide an overview of our first SQRC meeting.
Thank you. I won't be as gracious as Grace here, but please bear with me. So the SQRC meeting was held on October 16th. It is the Superintendent Quality Review Committee, and the meeting opened with Dr. Farrelly explaining to the group what exactly the purpose of the committee is. It's really a committee that troubleshoots, brainstorms, communicates concerns, and keeps all district stakeholders up to date on district operations. So the first thing that we discussed was any building updates. And from South Bay, Mrs. Cotter spoke about the opening of school. Of course, with the consolidation, there was some great deal of trepidation going into the school year. But as she reported, as did many of the other elementary representatives that were in attendance, that they were really pleased to see how smoothly the transition is taking place. As one elementary representative said next to me, that kids are resilient. While some may be struggling, the overall feeling is that we're moving forward in a positive direction. And the PTA representative that was present said that the PTAs, the building administrators, and the central office administrators are working really hard to continue to promote getting to know each other better with the fall festivals that were just held last week. They were attended very well, and it was really a festival. It was a celebration of families getting to know one another and students meeting new friends. Dr. Falcone also brought up from his building that this year he's going to have a central focus of attendance. Last week, I believe you received his email. He believes, and there's strong research that promotes there's a correlation between attendance and academic success. Therefore, students, parents all need to be held accountable for the attendance policy. So, as I said, he sent out a Parent Square message last week. Then we also spoke about the professional development workshops that are going to be held for teachers and staff on November 4th. Mr. Payne gave an overview of the workshops that are going to be held, and our Director of Student Services also gave a very extensive overview of what our social workers, special ed teachers, the workshops they will be attending, and it sounds really rewarding for them. Dr. Farrelly brought up the fact that the budget review is going to begin earlier this year. She expressed that there will be hopefully we'll talk about the budget earlier, so we'll have a better standpoint of where we are as a district financially. And we're hoping to reestablish some of the musical equipment budget that we had to cease a few years ago. Also, field trips, take a look at where we are with field trips. The high school had a 3-year technology plan that they only got to 1 year, so there was talk of that. So it'll just give us an opportunity to know where we are at an earlier date. One area of concern that Mr. Payne spoke about was professional development conferences are getting more and more costly to districts. And especially with the increase in conferences and increase in textbooks, some of the federal funding that normally districts receive will no longer be available. So for example, Title II grants, Title III grants, and Title IV grants will no longer be available from the federal government. So Title II grants are earmarked for professional development. Title III grants are geared toward the English language learners. Title IV grants are for mostly safe schools and academics. So because those title grants will no longer be available, that is about $150,000 loss just for West Babylon. So yeah, that was pretty concerning. And we also heard that Title I grants will not be touched, so that'll be available to us next year. And we talked about the possibility of maybe taking a look at replacing some of the Chromebooks that have been in existence for several years now, as well as our smart boards are aging out. So we may take a look at that. There may be some funding available for that. And then a discussion took place regarding the district's food pantry, that our social workers are working with some families in need and how that'll be available to them. So it was a very rewarding meeting for everyone present, and the next one will take place December 5th.
Thank you. That was great. Next on the list.
Next was a discussion, right? Mr. Recommendado reached out for us to have a discussion on the Saturdays, right? So just as a reminder for everyone, right? So last school year, right? Part of our efforts of increasing efficiencies and really tightening things up, right? We, unless absolutely necessary, right? We did not open on a Saturday, right? So if we compare the last school year, right, to maybe the school year before that, the district wasn't necessarily open, was not open every Saturday, but it was open for, you know, the various different, whether it's athletic events, right, or athletic maybe practices, different high school events, right, in which we shifted, right, and instead of having it on a Friday night and a Saturday night, we shifted to, you know, Thursday and Friday night, right, things on those lines. We did have some Saturdays, but not as many in terms of as we did before that, and we saw that obviously in when we talked about the end of the year budget lines, right, that was one of the areas, obviously, again, that we didn't expend as much. So we opened up for a couple of different things, you know, when absolutely needed, but otherwise we're still operating under the same terms, right, that we set in play last year. So Mr. Recommendado raised the question, the topic for us to talk about in the sense of, do we want to start to reopen that, right? I mean, you can.
Also, you get these sport teams that are going to start coming into play with the winter sports, basketball, I guess, was that volleyball, whatever is indoors. When we come into our Christmas break and winter break, obviously they weren't able to practice in our gymnasium. So where does that come into play?
Right, so that was the same, right, that's exactly what we did in terms of last year. Depending on the sports teams, they did reach out to kind of some of our neighboring facilities, right, to be able to, use their facility, right, for some of those practices. But definitely by and large last year, right, we, across the board, and not just in terms of for athletics, for some high school events, and also from a facilities standpoint, right, we typically also would open during some of those breaks to do some of that inside work. Last year we didn't do that as well. Yes, yeah. So I did ask for just some preliminary numbers, right? So it could be part of in terms of this discussion. So taking a look at, I asked our facilities department, I said, if we kind of project out some possible, some Saturdays, right? For, let's say, in terms of this year, right? What would that look like from a custodial perspective? Now, just again, by way of background, the vast majority of school districts operate, right? You operate on a Monday through Friday, right? So all of the Saturday events for pretty close to 100%, right? 90-something% of school districts, right? When they're open on that Saturday, the personnel that they have opening Saturday is being paid overtime. Right, so there's an overtime pay associated with the Saturday openings. When it's not a full week, right? Like, when, let's say, if there's a Monday closure, right, then overtime wouldn't apply for the Saturday. So that is the case for us, right? That's the case for us from a custodial perspective, right? We generally need 2 custodians, right, to open the buildings. And then also from a security perspective, depending on what the event is, right? So just, again, ballpark numbers, right? This is not inexact in any way, shape, or form, right? This was Mr. Wallace helping me with some data, and Mr. Logidis helping me with some data from a facilities perspective. Give or take approximately 12 Saturdays, right? To account for things like basketball or wrestling, right? SATs, well, those are kind of separate other Saturday things, but specifically in terms of, those are examples of other Saturday type of, events, right? So for about 12 Saturdays, it's about $8,800, again, approximate, right? And then from a facilities perspective, in terms of custodians, again, this was kind of going with the schedule that they currently have, looking at some winter sports, time frames. Again, about $8,900, give or take around there, right? So accounting for those, again, it's not an exact number, right? Because we'd have to really work through, with our facilities, with Mr. Panarello, right? To see kind of what number of days he would recommend. Some of those dates in terms of games have already been set, right? In terms of sections, so that may not necessarily be changed, but certainly the practice location, right, would change because it would then return to district as opposed to either not practicing or using, neighboring facilities. So that's just some data. It's not an exact, just to be clear. And then, really would depend on the number of Saturdays. Another layer of that, right, is, so backtrack, I mentioned beforehand, it hasn't been a complete carte blanche, right? So as an example, the senior high school, right, Mr. O'Leary had reached out, we have the musical big, production, right? So they typically have done 2 or 3 full Saturday rehearsal, like dress rehearsals, right? So they are approved for 1, right, as opposed to all of them, right? So things like that. Blue and gold, right? That was an area that we maintained in terms of, still having the event on a Saturday, right? So I just wanted to kind of put an asterisk there that there have been some Saturday pieces, right, that have still continued, but we're still pretty tight though. And the budget line where this would come from, right, this is overtime, so it's salary lines, right, just to kind of.
Quick question, that 8,900 is for all 12 or for every Saturday? Just want to be clear on that.
That's not every Saturday. No, this is
So
this is kind of
8,900 is an estimate to have 12 Saturdays open.
from one department, right? So you have to do times 2, so I'm gonna.
Oh, so
I'm
like
gonna-
17.6 or
Yes,
17.8,
exactly,
something like
right,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
mhm.
all right.
Right.
Would it be beneficial to reach out to Mr. Panarillo and speak to him about if Saturdays are more beneficial or breaks? Because just from a mindset of like you were practicing Monday through Friday, at least they're getting practices in. But then February break, that's a full week that if it's below whatever degrees, they can't practice in a certain setting or they can't go. Is that something that a conversation should happen to see where or
Well,
it can't
I would
happen
say
either way?
there's so many different variations of what couldn't happen, right? Like, you know, in terms of those. So I would first one in terms of the direction of what direction does the board want me to go with this, right? Like, so because there are going to be a lot of different variations there, right? He can tell me, yes, I could use 3 days in February, right? But then you're right. Then it happens to be a terrible week of weather, and then it doesn't happen, right? Or we really do well, right? And we're moving forward, and we need the practices in order for the playoff game or the championship game, right? And despite even us not having this conversation, then that would have been a situation where the building would have been opened, right? To be able to meet. We did it in September also, right? Because we needed to have X number of practices before that first game, right? So no choice, so we opened. So those types of circumstances, those I'm going to have approved already, right? It's the other ones, right? Going back to kind of the normal concept of practicing in-house
Correct.
during the breaks.
Correct, the breaks,
is
holiday breaks,
is
the winter
yes.
breaks.
So
Yes.
the Saturdays you mentioned in which we were open, whether it was theater production, stuff like that, where they're already on the calendar, can't practices be held on those same days?
Yeah, that happens already now.
Right, so that happens already. So,
Already,
so it's
yeah.
not that there's no practices going on.
No, so we have, the board knows because you guys receive my SMC, right? Like, so Monday mornings, we have Superintendent's Management Council, and that includes all administrators that, oversee all the departments. So when a Saturday is open, then it's literally all hands on deck of, okay, so, from a facilities perspective, right, we can do this. From a athletics perspective, we can do
'Cause we're
this.
here.
Because
Right.
we're already here.
Right,
Oh,
gotcha.
we needed to call this company in, we can call them in to finish that on that day, because we're already here and the building is open. So all of that then gets coordinated really well between all the different departments, between all the department leaders, right? Mike's office, Bob's office, Brian, if security is in the mix, right? So, yes.
So in the situation where athletics needed to get those practices in because of something related to, let's say, playoffs or the extended season, that would be something
those would be, yeah.
that wouldn't even be an
Yeah.
issue.
Right.
This is
more the standardized of practicing
This
in,
is an
that's the ask.
additional. This is an additional
Giving back what they had.
17,000. That wasn't budgeted.
Those holiday breaks, playoffs aren't in the process yet. So like I said, it's Christmas break. Wrestling and basketball are just mid-season or whatever. So it's just getting those in-house practices back to normal. That's pretty much what the request is. And I get the budget's the budget, and we have to go by the budget, and I totally understand that.
Well, if we're already making the exceptions and there's practices going on, I don't know. I guess I'm saying to add another almost 20,000. And again, this rough estimate. Let's just round it up to standardize something that you're kind of making exceptions to already. I don't know. We didn't budget for that, and I don't know that we should just say to you, make it happen, because it's going to come from somewhere. And then when we're sitting here making a budget in a few months, that's going to be factored into next year's budget, and that money's going to come from somewhere. So I don't know. We didn't plan for it. So, we just added enrichment, which we've been talking about since last year. That's going to be 20 grand or so total, right, for the district. I think it was like 5,000 per building or something was the estimate. So
In terms of materials and supplies for the STEM program?
to actually support the program fully.
Support the program, yes.
Yeah, I just don't know. And as I see it globally, and I know we all do, right? I see the request the trustees have. I'm at the PTA meetings. I know the requests coming your way. I get the messages too about this program and that program, and this is one of those things out of a whole list of increasing the budget for field trips. Creating a coaching position for the fitness. We talked about that. It's like everything that wasn't budgeted. So are we now going down that path that when I had a look 2 years ago, and a lot of us did, at slide 15, you know, from the budget presentation where we were talking about things like robotics being canceled and athletics. And I know that's a standard slide when we talk about contingency budgets, but we started that 2 years ago pretty seriously looking at some of those items. It wasn't fun. And I just, my hesitation on doing this again, and I know I'm taking criticism because it's not against athletics, it's all the other requests I see. You know, we brought back field trips. Well, that funding's not enough. We want more parking spaces in other schools. Like, every request is gonna fall on the superintendent's shoulders as make it happen. And then we're gonna be sitting here in a few months, and it's gonna be coming from the tax levy. It's gonna be coming from reserves. And that corner that we turned a few weeks ago, you know, that we were all kind of like, okay, you know, the community was part of that, we're part of that, everybody's part of that. Are we just, I don't know, it's a request on another request on another request. Where's it coming from? I guess that's my question. I know you'll just make it happen, but it's gonna come from this budget line, that budget line. But when we look at next year's budget, it's gonna be part of the budget.
Right.
And that's gonna just snowball down. And then in 2 years, when we say, hey, how come we have parents sewing uniforms together at home? It's gonna be, well, we didn't have it in the budget. Like, it comes back, you know, and I get cautious with us deviating, especially when you had to actually freeze the budget a little bit last year to help the situation. How much can we add? We're 2 months into the school year, and the list of emails I see coming to add this, add that, waive this fee, waive that fee. You know, I just look at this slide, 15. It was always 15, and that's my concern. And it's not against athletics. It's just a concern about sitting here in a few months going, oh, okay, maybe we won't do the instruments. Maybe we're not going to do.
Well, that's what, I don't mean
Right.
to interrupt.
No, you listed those things
But
that we
just-
still haven't added back.
Correct.
Right.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
fresh from the meeting that we had.
That's my point.
The
yeah.
district is taking extra precautions to take a look at the budget earlier so we could start to kind
Right.
of see where we stand,
Yeah.
to tiptoe our way through what
Right.
we could add back. And I neglected to mention, it was in my notes, that athletics is asking for new uniforms.
Okay, I was
I'm
just
sorry, I
thinking of a parent
apologize.
situation. from
Yeah,
last year.
no, I understand. I
Yeah.
apologize. I skipped
No,
my
no,
notes.
I just feel like anything we put back, I want it to stick. I don't want to be taking it away again. You know, athletic center for junior high came back. That, you know, there's things coming back, and sometimes that's great to people. They love that aspect coming back. Sometimes they wish something else would come back. But things that come back, I want it to be solid. I don't want it to be on a slide again, looking to get cut.
Well,
That's my concern.
Well, I agree, because we don't want to bring something back to take it away again.
Correct.
Right, and I think we have to learn from where we went wrong years ago and how we got into the position we were in, and keep that in mind. And I'm all for athletics,
Yep,
100%, but we also have 30 kids that wanted to go to the tech program that we had to hold back on. And,
Yep.
you know, our athletics needs to practice as much as they possibly can. We know that.
Yeah.
We have other issues too, and I just don't want to see the district back where we were 2 years ago, like you said, crossing
Yeah.
off lines.
Yeah.
We'll just brought up how titles are gonna be gone. 2, 3, and 4, that's gonna be more money we're gonna have to come up with.
Yeah, we'll raise our hand. We agree with everything that's good. It's not that any of us are against anything. I just don't want to be telling parents again, oh, you had it for a year, but we had to take it away, or, oh, we added this sport, but the other teams sewing their uniforms together. Like, we want to get to it. Maybe we have less eventually, but maybe what we have is better. And that's just my, you know, where I've kind of been saying that since that presentation from 2 years ago. But you also mentioned that there are some practices taking place, and it's being managed when the building's open for other things. And if
Yeah,
they make the
when-
playoffs, they will have practices. So
Yeah,
I feel like there's a give there.
And that was the case last year, right? Like those circumstances,
Yeah.
right? We worked through those, right? There's no way that at the beginning of September I was going to say our teams are going to miss their first game, right? Like, because they didn't have enough practices. Of course we're opening, right? Like, so
Right.
those circumstances are already, in the mix, right? The musical, right? No, not all of the Saturday rehearsals, but yes, one, right? And then we'll tackle other things into that. So that's been the case, right? That was still the case
Yeah.
last year, but it wasn't, it certainly wasn't many, right? To be clear, it was pretty tight, and obviously that was seen in the budget.
Now you did mention that on weeks where it's a 4-day work week or less, let's say, then that Saturday doesn't count as overtime?
Right, so the based on the hours, right, like, so if there's a Monday off or Monday, Tuesday off, right, yes, yep.
So
There's a different rate of pay for the Saturday.
for the Saturday.
The process in offering it is still the same, right, like for the Saturday work, and Mr. Hanley can speak to that, but yes, the rate of pay is different. That's just labor law, that's not just WB.
No, I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so that would, if needed, that reduces that number as well. That,
If it happens to be that the Saturday, let's say, that is needed or requested, which we did just come across a situation like that not that long ago, then yes, that Saturday's pay would be different.
okay.
Wouldn't be as costly.
Right, right. I mean, I don't know, if worst case scenario, we're not getting enough in with the exceptions you've already made, maybe that's something, I mean, there's plenty of holidays, but, I don't know.
Just to be clear, my request wasn't a demand.
No,
It
no,
was-
it's
it was-
discussion.
It was an
No,
ask, it was just something
No, no,
to
it's
put out there
discussion.
to see where we are financially, and I know we had a good year coming into this year, like you said,
Yeah.
we took a step forward. I put it out there just to see where we stood, if it's possible.
Yeah, no, it's a
And
discussion item.
not just sports, it's band, it's whoever else
Absolutely.
that can benefit from
Yeah,
it.
and Anthony, I think that's, a
Yeah,
discussion to
that's-
discuss our
Yeah.
priorities of what
Right.
we
Yeah,
want.
that's definitely.
There might not be a need for, an intramurals program or certain things that were cut, but we can prioritize now where we want to focus on in the future going
Sure.
forward.
Yep.
And let that be a topic of the discussion,
Yeah, I don't
So
think
sh-
anybody's discounting the discussion or
No,
the idea of the
definitely.
discussion. I don't feel
Yeah.
that way.
Yep.
I just am like, I just see so many of the emails and, when I attend the PTA meetings, I hear it come, like, oh, that's gonna be it, and sure enough, it'll be an email that gets passed on with a request, and if you wanna say yes to everything, I just don't wanna look at this slide again. As much as people didn't believe that things on this would get cut, there was things on, I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't the typical in case of an contingency budget. I mean,
Right, but that's where we went wrong, is it was always for the kids, everything was always yes, 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 and then we
Right.
look at where we found ourselves.
And as we proceed, and I think, I'm trying to think if it was last week's news and notes or if I started to put it into this week's news and notes, right? We're going to have our, department, our presentations at the board meetings, right, by departments, but we're going to, in addition to doing kind of a year review and where we're at, we're also going to add into the mix, okay, from a financial perspective, budget lines associated with facilities or athletics, right? Here's where we're at, and here are our asks, right, for, the board and superintendent to continue to consider for the 26-27 school year. So as we do each one of those, then we're gonna have that, we're gonna have the information directly from the individuals that are overseeing it, saying, here are our absolute needs, here are our wants, right, for the board to consider as part of your budget development process. So we'll hear that from each of the departments. So come March, again, it won't be an easy conversation because, yes, internally you want to say yes to all of it, right, but we won't be able to add all of it. But we'll decide which areas we want to then add at that point into the 26-27.
the bad thing about a discussion item on the agenda is you have a whole entire weekend to let it fester and you think about everything. But I didn't even know some of the information that you had about those titles. I didn't know that was definitive on those title funds. I thought that was still like up in the
Well,
air.
it's most likely not going to be available. That's the information that we're receiving, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not finally sealed and closed,
Right.
but that is definitely where all roads are pointing, that it's likely not going to be there.
Okay.
I know going back to Mr. Panarillo's presentation, about 50% of the coaches were not necessarily district employees and all of that, and the communication that you spoke to. If we have to open the building, the coaches know. Maybe could you speak with them about, is that streamlined as much as we think it is? Meaning,
It definitely
if
is. Bob
bas-
does
yeah?
it. Yeah, Mr.
Okay.
P. From when there's a day available, that's
Even
his
if it's
first
like the
piece
music
of-
department's doing it, then the athletics knows kind of thing? Okay.
Perfect example is the one that just came across my table from Mr. Leary about the dress rehearsal on several Saturdays, right? I responded back of, no, not all. Yes, the one before, and then I included in their facilities, Mike, into the email, right, and Bob of, here we go, you got one here, right? So,
yeah.
yes, and then we talk about it at the Monday SMC, and they immediately, and then from there, each department leader, right, then it's Bob, Mr. P's, right, like, then reaches out to whichever coach is, right, from his end. Yeah. Good. All right.
Okay. Statement of residence. Any resident wishing to share a statement, please come to the podium. Tell us your name, your address, and any organization you may be representing. Comments about individual students or employers are not permitted. Each resident will have up to 3 minutes to speak, with a total of 15 minutes allotted. Responses will be given after all statements. Questions needing further research will be addressed at the next meeting. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn. Kathy, Steve, all those in favor? Okay, that's everyone.
Good night, everyone.